fucking face, nigga. I don't play that shit, pussy. Figure out how you getting the fuck up and get home, nigga. Fuck that. These niggas think they be watching on the I didn't touch you. I didn't touch you, bro. Let's go. I didn't touch you. Let's go. Woo! You gonna do something? I didn't touch you. You gonna do something? Yo, fam, he ain't ready for that. Leave that shit alone. Leave that shit alone. He ain't ready for that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, where is the police? This is ridiculous.
Let's move on to the president's tax plan, if you will. Here's the president's chief economic advisor, Gary Cohn. Let's take a listen.
If we allow a family to keep another $1,000 of their income, what does that mean? They can renovate their kitchen. They can buy a new. They can buy a new car. They can take a family vacation. They can increase their lifestyle. That's what our tax plan is to do.
Does this at all suggest to you that the administration is somewhat out of touch? I mean, $1,000, as far as I can see, doesn't get you a new car or renovate your kitchen.
Well, you just pulled out one small segment of Gary Cohn's remarks about the tax cuts. It didn't mention the increase in the child tax credit. It didn't mention the doubling of the standard deduction. It didn't mention overall the larger tax reform package and what it will do to grow the economy and raise wages for middle class families. This is a significant tax reform measure that will help no one more than the middle class. So as a Republican, I'm excited. It put us on the right track to reduce deficit spending and even.
Don't let anybody in the press think that because he supported my opponent that I do not support him and support his agenda. As long as it's constitutional, as long as it advances our society, our culture, our country, I will be supportive.
Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore right there. He defeated the president's candidate in the primaries this week, same day that Obamacare repeal and replace went down again in the Senate. We also saw that scandal this week over private planes and the resignation of Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price. Back with the roundtable right now. And Megan Murphy, let me begin with you from Bloomberg. That was all the tough news for the president this week. Clearly the hope is tax cuts are going to make up for it.
Well, clearly that's a hope, but it's been amazing to watch this roll out in terms of how they're going to be able to defend this policy, given what is a distributional effect that way disproportionately benefits the top 1% and the top 0.1%. An independent, nonpartisan group has come out and said that 80% of the benefits by 2027 will accrue to the top 1%. If that means if you're a family making over $900,000, under the plan details that we know so far, you're going to get a $200,000 tax cut. We know that this is something that is politically one of the least popular movements to cut taxes.
Which is why they're denying that that's going to be the ultimate impact. But Jason Riley, I mean, it's hard to see Congress coming back with anything that's not going to disproportionately impact the wealthy, benefit the wealthy, because the wealthy pay most of the taxes.
Right, exactly. And I think the administration would do better to come out and say, this is about economic growth. And tax relief for the most productive, well-off people in society is not inconsistent with economic growth. Those two things are not at cross purposes here. The real value added of this plan, I think, is the corporate tax rate. We've got something like $2.5 trillion corporate money stashed away overseas. We want that money brought back here, invested into businesses here, invested into lifting wages, people concerned about stagnant wages. That's what this is about. But giving tax cuts or tax relief to wealthier individuals is not at cross purposes with economic growth. And that's what this is about, juicing the economy.
E.J. Dionne here with the Washington Post. Also have a new book, One Nation Under Trump. I meant to talk about that before. But E.J., you know, see, clearly the White House concerned about this argument that these are tax cuts for the wealthy. Is that enough to stop the Senate and the House from passing it?
I think there is a chance that you're going to lose 3 Republican votes on this in the House. You already have 33 Republicans from states that really benefit from the deduction for state
New
and
York,
local
California,
taxes.
New Jersey.
But look, they can't say what Jason said they should say, because then Trump would admit he's lying. And I think what brings together this fight with the health care fight is they have to tell a lot of lies to justify it. It didn't work on health care. Here, they not only have to pretend that this doesn't help the rich, but they're playing a shell game here. They're saying right now with magic numbers, this won't affect the deficit. So they pass it. And then 3 years down the road, Republicans will say, oh, my God, look at those high deficits. We have to cut programs for the low-income people. We got to cut Medicare and Social Security. If we fall for this, I can't imagine we're going to fall for this.
And Alex, how snake-bit are Republicans after the health care fight and the president's kind of wavering positions on first he liked the House bill, then he called it mean?
Republicans are petrified, and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are in control of the majority in the House and Senate because they've scared Republicans, as E.J. just said. Oh, you're the party of the rich again. You were on health care. You're going to take away health care from poor people? Can't do that. You killed health care. They're doing the same now on taxes. And the Republican Party's become this kind of wussy establishment party that has no voice, stands for nothing. And I don't think they're going to be able to get a consensus together to get tax reform done. They'll agree on tax cuts as long as they don't cut taxes, especially for the people who pay them. And they'll agree to on some kind of tax cuts unless they help if they help the rich. Oh, can't have that. I don't see how they can get a consensus in the Senate.
Stephanie, if Alex is right, you're going to have another revolt inside the Republican Party. Democrats will start to say, do we actually have a chance of getting back the House or Senate in the midterms?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, I don't think it's Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer who have created this unrest in the Republican Party. I think it's actually the president and his policies and throwing one house or the other under the bus when things aren't going.
This is the President's Cup, after all, and his attendance today honors the event and both teams.
Just into CNN, an appearance just moments ago at the President's Cup golf tournament, and President Trump dedicated a trophy to hurricane victims in Puerto Rico. Let's watch.
On behalf of all of the people of Texas and all of the people of, if you look today and you see what's happening, how horrible it is, but we have it under really great control, Puerto Rico and the people of Florida who have really suffered over this last short period of time with the hurricanes. I want to just remember them, and we're going to dedicate this trophy to all of those people that went through so much that we love, a part of our great state. really a part of our great nation.
So let's talk about a new report now raising this question. Did President Trump's three-day weekend at his private golf club last weekend delay the government's response? The Washington Post says it did. The piece offers a day-by-day account of the White House's response to the crisis, including a crucial four-day window where it seemed as though no one, including the president, took the devastation seriously. According to the paper, the sense of urgency only sunk in when the White House started seeing scenes like this on TV following Monday. Now, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders denies all of this, saying, quote, Washington Post story on Puerto Rico is false. The president gave military and first responders 100% support and has been updated daily on efforts by General Kelly and FEMA. I'm joined now by one of the reporters behind